Theater 3000. I believe we are live, everybody. Our professional starts as always. We have to keep it that way. Tonight, I'm joined tonight with I'm Dr. Reitzel, by the way, Dr. David Reitzel. You can call me Doc on this show, or David, whatever the folks want. If you call me Dr. Reitzel, I mute you for 5 minutes. That's the rule I have with my co-hosts. My co-host tonight, Quasars, tonight are Bill. He's in my upper left over there. Wave everybody, Bill. Everybody knows Bill, of course. He's a fan of calendars. Sarah, down in my lower left down there. We're going counterclockwise. And Jared below me. He's got, who's that in the astronaut suit behind you?
That's Michael McConaughey, and he's slightly perturbed.
Michael?
God, never mind.
It's your first mistake.
In case you're wondering where I'm at tonight, it's not here. So Matthew McConaughey. Oh my God.
Oh no, it's better to call him Michael McConaughey anyway.
Are you going to talk about the force of love?
Michael McConaughey.
Well, but
that's where I'm at tonight. So.
It's interesting you have him on there. Let's check in over with our YouTube stream here, see if anybody made it with us. I see Alan is there. Jim Mann just joined us. Hello. Nice to see you tonight. Somebody ought to be moderating over there because Jim Mann's been known to really talk some horrible stuff about flat Earth.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I invited that bro. I was like, hey Jim, we're doing this thing. And he was like, what? Send me the link. What's up, Jim?
Yeah, so we do have a little bit of a delay tonight, as always, so we'll probably see your posts just a little bit after we say them, and then you'll hear. Anyway, there's a delay involved, so we'll get back to the chat. Hey, guys, he's saying hello now. Anybody, I hope folks are joining us, getting to the link. And anyway, we decided tonight to talk about aliens, really, was our main topic. Just, Matthew McConaughey was Michael McConaughey. Michael McDonald was saved by the smooth sounds of yacht rock. And no, but actually it was supposed to be aliens of the bulk that brought him here. The bulk is that notion of there's an extra dimension beyond that one which we experience, and there was another life form that lives in extra dimensions, and he was able to be transported back to Earth and see his daughter in much less time than he should have. Actually, she should have been long dead based on the time it would take to travel back there, but they took a wormhole through the bulk and all the rest. So maybe there are aliens there. Maybe there are aliens in the bulk. Who knows? Maybe I'm dressed appropriately to talk to them tonight. I don't know.
Bulkwear?
Bulkwear. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Jared? Are there aliens in the bulk?
Maybe there might be aliens in the bulk. I'm not sure. If they are, they're not really saying anything. That's for sure. So,
no, I mean they would almost have godlike powers of some sort, but I'm not noticing anything like that. There isn't any miraculous things happening around on Earth, and at least not in my observational sphere.
Yeah, with like bulk, are we talking about like outside of the universe or like Costco? Like are they traversing to get a Costco lunch, or like what are we talking about here?
As long as you're wearing your mask.
You got to wear your mask if you're in Costco. I'm actually a big fan. If Costco wants to sponsor our program, we would do that. Although I do have to say the store over on Los Feliz Boulevard in Atwater Village was a shit show the other day. I had to abandon my cart and leave. There was just too many encounters that were too close, and I kept thinking, okay, you can have somebody get within 6 feet for a brief period of time, supposedly. I don't know, science is out, but they say. But it was again and again and again, and I keep thinking, oh no, what if it's the same person, and what if she's sick? And I'm abandoning ship. So I did, and but still, I do love the Costco. And are the aliens shopping there? Has anybody smelled an alien? That's what I titled this show tonight. Bill, do you think somebody's ever smelled an alien?
Yeah, another alien, probably.
What do you think they smell like?
Well, normal, because you're an alien too, I guess.
Well, probably. Yeah, but
do they have the sense of smell? Do they need that where they are in their environment?
Well, it seems like it would be handy. It's a way to sense what chemicals are around. You can judge whether things are safe to eat or not. That's why we think things smell like, ooh, that seems like it'd be tasty. Very bitter things are often poisonous. So I think our sense of taste and smell is developed into a survival mechanism. Yeah. But sure. I wonder about these things. They say outer space has a smell of like burned steak, something like
that.
Yes. Which
that happens. That happens from the oxygen coming out of the airlock interacting with the material, plus ultraviolet light hitting it at the same time. So
Yeah.
So good stuff.
But I want to know who breathes in outer space to get that smell. You know what I mean? Like who goes
That's when they get back in the airlock, of course.
Aliens, yes.
It's aliens.
Yep, perfect.
So, but anyway, I do wonder, like, folks that are abducted, they don't. Okay, I don't read a lot of abduction stories. I've read a few. I'm very interested in it. It's one of the reasons I'm an astronomer. The whole notion of is there life out there? I would lay, camping out into the stars with my parents and sister, and we'd be looking up there watching the Perseid meteor shower or something like that. And I would wonder, wouldn't it be amazing to see a UFO go by, and then you see a satellite go by, and you realize it's not a UFO, but it's in space, and that's pretty cool. So I don't know. It makes you think and wonder, are there aliens? So that's one of the reasons I got into it. So anybody else get into astronomy because of that?
Not just.
No.
But
no. Why do you want to build rockets? Is it just you love the rockets, or is it?
Well, I think rockets are really, really cool. I mean, we take like a tremendous amount of power, something that is like super ridiculous and like stupid crazy, and we do the most precise things you can imagine with it. Like it just blows my mind that New Horizons and Voyager and all these spacecraft leaving our solar system are still going because of the energy expended at launch and some of the energy that they pulled from planets that they swung by as well. And that's just amazing that we're capable of doing something like that. And I want to make really big ones so that they can do that even faster.
Is anybody going to sing the New Horizons lick?
No.
No, Bill. No. Bill, should we mute him now?
Stop.
All right, he's muted. All right, safety first, everybody. Safety first. All right, well, unmute Bill. There you go. You're back. Anyway, there's people have wondered for a long time if there's alien life out there beyond just the bulk. I mean, thinking of it in the bulk takes it up a notch in a way, because most of us on this program would probably say, of course, there's life out there. I mean, in my mind, what are the odds that you have Earth? And life arose here almost immediately when Earth cooled down. It was very, very, very quickly. And then it took, 3.5 billion years or something like that to form multicellular life. And then quite rapidly after that, you had rather complicated multicellular life. It rapidly got more and more complicated until you had animals or things swimming, first of all. And then eventually, anyway, you end up with humans all the way down the line today. And that took us a fair amount of time, but not a ridiculous amount of time. The universe is really, really old, and our sun still has another, 5-ish billion years to go, or call it 3 before it gets hot enough to fry the oceans or something like that. But still, it only took about half the time. It could still be, I like to think of these things. I grew up in Reno, of it being a little bit random. It could still be rolling the dice. It could still be pulling the handle of the slot machine trying to get lucky. And instead, here we are running the show tonight, talking.
Yeah, so, the roulette wheel of life.
Yeah. But what all does it take to win the roulette wheel of life? Earth did it really quickly. We're here now talking about this. So to me, I think about, there's probably life all over the place out there. And there's probably, multicellular, interesting fish stuff out there too. Smelly beasts. What does alien life smell like? I think it depends on their atmosphere and what sort of biology, what sort of reactions they have going on inside to break down those mechanisms. In fact, there's probably studies out there that talk about different forms of, fermentation and oxidation and all these things that can happen to get energy out of chemical chains. Well, the byproducts are what you would smell. So maybe we could figure out what alien life would smell like depending on what it ate. You go to Yellowstone in those hot springs, they smell sulfuric-y and whatever because the chemicals that are there. So anyway, I diverge a little bit. But still all the same. Bill, you play piano, right?
Yep. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, there's actually a Fermi posed a question about the number of piano tuners in Chicago, and he wanted to estimate it. And he was trying to show people that you can make an estimate of this sort of thing and it not be wildly wrong if you have some certain assumptions. So I actually want to do that tonight. I want to try and estimate the number of piano tuners instead of in Los Angeles, where it's just, oh my gosh, you could have somebody that lives out in Thousand Oaks that's willing to service a piano in Long Beach. That's LA. People get on the freeway and they drive. If there's work, they'll go to it. And it's anyway, so it would be very difficult to figure out what sort of numbers we're working with here. What about Santa Barbara? Maybe we could do that. Estimate the number of piano tuners in Santa Barbara.
That would have an interesting factor in it that I can think of.
What interesting factor? Being a little more affluent, and
yes.
People would
exactly it.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We can work that in a little bit here.
No.
Let me open up a Word document. Although maybe we should have somebody else do this. Who wants to take notes on this? We should have arranged this ahead of time. I honestly was going to prepare it ahead of time, and then I decided to have dinner. So, but anyway, the way we first should start out with all of this, of course, is the population of Santa Barbara, let's say county. Anybody know roughly what the population is?
No.
Maybe we should go to YouTube. Hey, YouTube, what do you think the population of Santa Barbara County is?
I would guess like 1 million people.
I'm going to go below that. I
think it's lower, only because 1 million, I don't know, it gets pretty rural quickly when you get out of the city.
Yeah, goes up in the hills.
I don't know, 500,000, 600,000. Now, we shouldn't, those of us on the panel probably shouldn't be Googling it. Sarah, there.
I did.
I see you making it. Sarah's not allowed to answer. But anybody out there on the live stream that's watching, if you have a guess, again, it should be an educated guess. You've been up there. You know, the towns around it have tens to hundreds of thousands. Santa Barbara itself might have 200,000-300,000. I don't know. I think we're looking between 500,000 and 700,000. But that's me. Who has a guess out there? And we should take that number down.
But no looking.
Yeah, so Sarah, you have to now take notes since you were cheating by looking on the Google.
It's a resource tool. I just used my thumbs.
Well, yeah, but we're on we're pretending we're pre-Google times here.
We got a guess from Jim of 500,000 or so.
All right. We'll take Jim's guess, 500,000.
Okay.
All right, so we got 500,000 people. Now, how many people per household? Because we're looking for pianos, and each household probably has a piano. So I mean, maybe some have two, but that most probably only have one. So what do you think? Because it's more than two because a lot of people have kids.
No, it's not. Well, yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of just individual single people.
2.4.
That seems low to me.
America.
I don't know. I'm just saying, include 0.4 of a person in there.
Well, we totally should, absolutely. But I don't know.
That's like they can like fit in the trunk of your car.
Again, I think Sarah's Googling this, so I'm not sure we should be trusting her.
Take notes, so I'm putting it in.
I'm also going to ask, do we think that the population in Santa Barbara leans toward the aging? Because there's a lot of old money there and people have been there for a long time. And
I feel like we've gotten a little off topic, and perhaps we're going to
but I mean, I'm talking about
defend my core audience here of my mom and dad. Oh. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. No, I'm kidding. But we can figure that in just a minute, because right now we just want to know the size of the household. Like, and anybody out there have a guess?
My point is, older people would lead to smaller household average sizes because one might die, their kids are gone, whatever it is. Yeah,
but still, overall, you don't spend very long in that stage of your life. The bulk of your life is spent in the phase where you're whatever. You got 20. These days, you probably have 30 years of a kid being still at home, or maybe even 40. Anyway, so it's still, yeah, but okay. So somewhere, family size has shrunk a little bit too. I don't think it's 4. I don't know, let's go with Jared's guess. If nobody on the live stream has a number, I'm checking in again here. Price is Right rules. I don't know. I don't see anything in the chat. So let's go with 2.4.
I'll have 1 per household, Bob.
2.4. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
You can't go over, or you're
$1.
All right.
For some reason, as a kid, I really loved the yodeling game that had the little yodeler going up the mountain.
Because then he died, and it was hilarious.
It was, and I really liked yodeling. And I got to say, out at Burning Man, this last year, we had a camp that every morning, it wasn't quite at dawn, but it was around maybe 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., 9 a.m. They would play this yodeling song really, really loudly, and it was great. was a lot of fun. Anyway, all right. So we've gone with 2.4 because nobody out there had a guess. So, all right. Well, if we take 500,000 and divide it by 2.4, what do we get? I could probably do this on a calculator.
Big number.
It's not bad. It's going to be
The amount of cash I would like right now.
180,000. I don't know. I can sort of do math in my head. Divided by 2.
It's
208,333 in a third of a person. Oh, no, a third of a household. So that tells us when we do that, when we take the number of people divided by the number of people per household, that gives us households in the county. So we're at 208,333 and a third households. And I like the 33 and a third. It makes me think of LPs and music. So it's fun.
Maybe one of those tiny houses.
Yeah,
tiny
it's
house,
like a
in somebody's tiny house. And can you get a piano in a third of a house? But that which raises the next question is what fraction of those houses have pianos? Which that's what I thought you were talking about, Bill, is the elderly like their pianos maybe. Because even though there are few of them per household, that increases the number of households, and those households might have a higher odd of having a piano.
Yeah. Well, I have a piano in my house, so.
Bill, you have one.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you have one?
Nope.
Me
2
either.
guitars though.
I have a keyboard, I have a guitar, I've got a theremin. Actually, my theremin's up at work. I'd have to go up there to get it. I don't know.
So we are counting just pianos, not keyboards, because you don't tune the keyboards.
Not keyboards. Well, you do take them in to get them tuned electronically sometimes, fix the oscillators if they're old. But
we're not going to do that.
No, just piano tuners. So but still, we're at 50% just on our audience here. I don't think that's right. YouTube audience, what fraction of people out there have pianos? Anybody?
I would say like maybe 30.
30%?
So
30%?
that would be my best guess.
We have 10? That's a lot.
That seems.
No, 1 out of every 30.
Oh, that's
1 over 30.
Well, I think it's probably higher than that.
I think it's higher than that because we probably should
11.
include, maybe small schools that don't have their own piano tuner that would hire a piano tuner locally to go to it. A big university certainly would have their own, I would think. I don't think we need to worry about University of Santa Barbara, but.
Oh, you do, though. I'm sure they have a music department. I got to say, I went to Cal State Fullerton, and there were probably 50, 60 pianos.
Yeah.
Well, sure, but do you think they have a piano tuner that just tunes them?
We didn't.
Keeps them in tune.
Just one,
No.
you mean? Could be one that would go through and just,
Oh, no, they played them. I could definitely tell they were out of tune.
I don't know. All right. Well, so we need to include those in our sort of thought here of
Yeah.
how many pianos per household. Maybe we should go with one in. I don't know. My feeling is somewhere around 25%, maybe 20% of them. But
Interesting, because we've got between 8 and 15% guesses on the chat.
8 to 15%. Let's take Pinsky's answer.
15%.
It's other than the fact that I like saying Pinsky.
name. Great name.
Any objection?
Fraction of houses is 15%.
I don't want to steer this number in any direction. So, all right. So 15% of those households have pianos. How many pianos does that give us?
Oh, yeah. How many households do we have?
208,333 and a third. So multiplied by 15%, 0.15.
Be like 30,000?
Yeah, 31,250.
Cool. So now how often do you tune a piano? How many times a year?
That depends. Some people keep pianos just as nice furniture, and they don't really play them, and they never have them tuned. And you're supposed to do it, once or twice a year, depending on how much you play. But I play a lot, and we haven't had ours tuned in a long time, so because it doesn't need it.
That explains a lot. No.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So.
Well, anyway, I don't know. I think once a year is certainly a number that sounds reasonable. Some people might get it tuned more often if they really want it in tune. Anybody on our YouTube channel have a piano? Anybody watching?
Jim said Bill's right about 2.
On average.
I see you, April, out there talking. If you hope we tie this into aliens, not a chance, fangirl.
The piano.
Fangirl Academy to you, Doc. I'm sure.
How many aliens have pianos? That's
Alien.
Well, they might have music. It depends. I don't know. I like the fact that even on Earth we have different scales, but that's a whole other topic. All right, so now we have pianos. Let's say, I don't know, anybody on the channel, give us how many times they tune their piano. That's the number we're looking for here. Because if we don't have anything, I'm going to put Bill on the spot and just go with the number he comes up with, because he seems to be our most piano-oriented here. He's over there, so I'm pointing towards Bill. And those of you at home are like, we're so sick of that joke. It's like, why is he doing it? It's because I've had a little whiskey.
Hey, Jared.
Nope.
As I reach
now
over,
they're joking about alien
your
hands.
right hand into. Oh no, you can't put your right hand.
So Bill, we just want to know how many times a year we tune in the piano.
Not times per year. How many years per time? Let's just say every 3 years on average, because some people never do it. Some people don't do it.
But we're muting Bill again. That's insane. That's an insane number. I'm sorry. I fail to believe that. I think most pianos are probably tuned at least once a year. No?
I don't think so. But what do I know?
When did we?
He only has a piano that he never tunes. All right. Well, okay. Well, sure. Can we at least go to every other year?
Sure, if you want. But I'd go with 3. There are going to be some that don't ever.
Well, I know there's some that don't ever, but that's very rare. But
I don't
most
think
pianos
it's that rare. I think here's the thing. As a pianist, I can't tell you how many wealthier people's homes I've been in that have a beautiful grand piano and they don't play it, and I can't take it away from them. It bothers me so much that I can't have that nice piano and give them my, little.
Well, those of you out there with a beautiful piano that you're not playing, you're making Bill very sad.
That's right.
If you'd please play it, and please get it tuned more than once every 3 years. That'd be great. Let's go with once every other year. Any objections? YouTube channel, am I steering this too much? No.
Bill is going to cry.
Bill's point about furniture is right. I like Bill them saying that the average person wouldn't tune their piano as often as they should. Every 5 to 10 years, maybe. Burnby says that. I don't. Okay, well, fine. The YouTube channel speak. We'll keep Bill's number one every 3 years. I think it's insane, but sure.
Every 3
years. Again, we're trying to show that you can make some reasonable guesses, and you're all telling me one every 3 years is reasonable for piano. But as a music fan, oh, it's making my ear hurt just a little bit.
Do you have a piano, or did you have one growing up?
No, I'm not a piano player, but I played the cello, and I have a very good ear for it.
We should find a Mozart sonata or something.
Oh gosh, no, I haven't played in 30 years. I took up physics and astronomy. So I need and buy me a cello and we'll talk.
Oh, you don't have one.
Hear that, our massive Patreon audience. Get me a cello and we'll. And
a Steinway from you when we're at it. Just
so,
not a 9-footer, a 6.
All right, we really need to keep this on point here just a little bit. Sarah, what is our number of piano tunings that happen each year? It should be a third of our total number of pianos.
All right, that is
10,000-ish.
416.
All right, 10,416 tunings per year. Now, a piano tuner. How many tunings can a piano tuner do per day?
How many tunes can a piano tuner tune?
The guy that tuned our pianos at my school, it took him several hours. So
yeah, I'm thinking 2 per day. Some would do 1 per day just because they're lazy, or the piano's really out of tune because it hasn't been tuned in 3 years.
Like 500 a year or 400 a year or something?
Oh, I think we're not going per year. We're going to go with how many per day.
Oh, then per day, I'd say.
Let's say 1.5.
I'd say 1.6. We're so close.
1.6?
Yes, I figured.
Let's take it. Let's take Bill's number. 1.6. I like it.
2 sig figs. That sounds good.
1.6 pianos per day. Some days you get them done quicker. Some days a little slower. And some days you tell your boss you're working hard and you're really over at the, you're over at the Quickie Mart drinking Slurpees. I didn't want to give 7-Eleven a plug, but I just did. 7-Eleven, if you want to sponsor us, we're all for the free Slurpees.
With whiskey.
Well, I've thought about that. It's really hard to get the right consistency because the alcohol tends to stay liquid and the water does that. You end up with it's difficult. It's worth doing. Daiquiris work. Anyway, back to the point. So now, okay, so if we have that 1.6 piano tunings per day, we need to know how many days per year a piano tuner works. I'm thinking 5 days a week, 2 days off. That's the American way. Fair enough. So 52 weeks per year. Times 5. Isn't that 260 days? Call it a year worked. Is that fair? Well, let's remove a 14-day, a 2-week vacation.
Yeah.
So 246 days worked.
Or 46.
Times 1.6 pianos gives us how many pianos one piano tuner can tune. So 93.6 pianos is one piano tuner. So now let's take the total number of tunings that we needed to get done and divide it by that number.
All right.
And that should tell us how many piano tuners there are.
The numbers are being crunched as we speak.
Yes.
Now I may have forgotten a factor here. I need to think through this a little bit. So we had people divided by people per household, then we had households, then we divided by what fraction of households had pianos. That gave us pianos. Then we said the pianos are tuned once every 3 years. That told us how many tunings per year. Then we did there were 246 tuning days per year at 1.6 pianos tuned. Told us each tuner gives us almost 400 tunings a year, 393. Then we take the total number of tunings needed, divide it by the number of tunings each piano tuner can do. That tells us piano tuners. Well, if we're going to look this up on the interwebs, which we're going to do, we might need to think about how many piano tuners work at each tuning place, because you might have a music company, a music place that sells instruments. They might have 2 or 3 that work there. And then you might just have the guy that works out of his house and it's just 1. So I think that's the last number we really need to worry about here. What do you think it is? It's probably close to 1. I think most piano tuners are kind of lone wolf personalities.
Close enough to 1, but not.
I remember when we had our piano tuned last, we had 3 people here that were a part of it doing it.
Really?
So,
I've never had that.
yeah.
Sarah, you're looking confused. Are we way off? Do we have like 500 tuners in Santa Barbara County as our number right now?
No.
What's our number? What does it tell us? How many tuners do we have?
26.4.
26.4 tuners. And I think there's probably, I don't know, what do you think, Bill? How many let's go to Jared. You haven't given us a lot of numbers. How many tuners work at each company? Assuming they're mostly lone wolves, but there's a few music companies that have 2 or 3 employed. Usually probably the dudes getting their start.
Is it like 2? That seems about how it would work. You know, somebody to found it and somebody to work with them. So.
I just think
well, Bill, we're going with Jared this time. I know you disagree, but we're going with, we'll just do it because that's what it seems fair. So, Sarah, take our number divided by 2. And what do we have?
Wait, 26 divided by 2?
Yeah, because there's 2 at each piano tuning company.
13.
13. Lucky 13. So now, go to, if you could share your screen, go to YouTube or Google Maps. Zoom in on roughly Santa Barbara County and search for piano tuning.
Oh, hey.
You've already done this for us. Piano tuners in Santa Barbara County. How many are listed there?
Let's see. It looks like I've got about 20. Wait, there's a second page.
We're within an order of magnitude.
Hey, I see violin shop and music instructor and other.
Well, yeah, but they probably
moving company.
As well. They probably tune pianos, or no, somebody does.
The car dealership.
Over a slightly larger area there. Like if you zoom in and don't get that looks a little closer.
Hancock College, Lawrence.
Make your window a little bigger and get a little more of Santa Barbara. We're missing Santa Barbara now. Yeah, search there. What do we end up there? If we search for the area, how many now?
Here we go. It's not giving me the number at the bottom, so I'm just going to scroll.
You know, by the way, down there, I just have to say, Music Academy of the West, when I was going to college, I got accepted there, but I didn't go.
10, 12.
Did anybody hear that?
14, 15.
15 total?
Yeah.
We had 13. Round of applause for us.
Not bad.
There's a little bit of something at the end there when we said zoom out that far and then stop. I don't know what the exact borders of Santa Barbara County are, but when you do that, you're sort of, you know.
That was pretty close to the actual borders of Santa Barbara County.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah. It goes just past Carpinteria. You don't get to Ventura yet. And then it goes out to about Santa Maria, but not up to
okay. All right.
Not much further north than that. I don't think you get to Pismo Beach.
By
the way, has anybody been to the Pismo Beach, the cinnamon roll factory there? I think it's called Old West Cinnamon Rolls, and they are amazing. And if you'd want to sponsor us, we would take it. I would.
Send cinnamon rolls.
I would take a free cinnamon roll any old day, by the way. Now, people are wondering, what the heck? Get on with the show. Get on with the aliens. What's this all about? I've been waiting around for 30 minutes now for you to get to the point. Well, we just estimated the number of piano tuners in Santa Barbara County to within a factor of 2, certainly, and got it right. Even if we zooming in, zooming out, even if it was 20 versus 13, that's really pretty good. I mean, we were more or less guessing the numbers. Now, we had some knowledge about them, but the reason I'm doing this is this brings me to the Drake equation. Frank Drake, who was actually a professor of mine, I'm going to share some stuff here for a second.
That was a flex if I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
You were a flight risk? What are you talking about?
He said you name dropped.
That was a flex. Like, that was like, oh yeah, just, he just happened to be one of my professors.
He was happened to be one of my professors. No, but that's why I love the Drake equation, frankly. So
no big deal.
Dumbledore's over here visiting me right now, so I'm a little distracted. But hello, buddy. I know. He's a sweetie pie.
What a good boy.
Yeah, sure. It's a good boy. Okay. I know. But we're in the middle of a show here, Dumbles. But anyway, Frank Drake. Don't hit that button. That'll end the stream. Frank Drake was one of my professors at Santa Cruz, where I went to graduate school, and it is one of the reasons I almost became a radio astronomer. If you're out there, Frank, I'm sorry. I should have done it. I love radio astronomy. It's fascinating, using those very long wavelengths to probe cold regions of the galaxy, the gas, the dust, the structures, the cosmic microwave background radiation. But on top of it, the notion that there are certain frequencies, certain wavelengths that lend themselves to communication at sort of galactic scales across the galaxy. Not so much intergalactic, because, well, the time scales for any sort of real communication there are too long. But within the galaxy, if you were within even hundreds of light years, civilizations could have communication back and forth with radio waves. You could have an antenna the size of Arecibo, the big dish down in Puerto Rico, or maybe like the one in China. They have the giant new fast radio telescope. If you hooked up a transmitter up to that, I don't know, does that have a transmitter? I kind of wonder about it. Anyway, but you could broadcast with it, and you could be heard at ridiculously large distances. Right, Dumbles? Yeah, he's still right here. It's very funny. Anyway, ridiculously large distances, and you might have to wait a while, and then your sons, daughters, granddaughters might get the answer when it came back and forth, but it would be a way to communicate. And Frank Drake thought about this and thought, well, maybe people have set up beacons. Maybe they've set up something that's just a beacon broadcasting, saying, tune to this frequency, go here, look this direction. And maybe there's a galactic library that's just constantly downloading. You start a signal, and whatever file you start in the middle of, well, it's trashed. You don't have the information to figure it out. But eventually you'll hit some bit of information that tells you here's the start of a file, and boom, you're on to the entry of whether aliens have a smell or not, and what they smell like on Alpha Centauri Prime versus on Tau Ceti. So, there may be differences there, and it's all in this galactic library. We're just waiting to download. So Frank thought, I'm going to point this radio telescope at Green Bank. That's what we're looking at here, the old dish that was in Green Bank. And it was 60 years ago. He started in April, and he went through July in 1960. He ran a project called Project Ozma, where he used the 85-foot antenna dish there to listen to nearby stars to see if they had any signal. He was listening in the hydrogen wave, the 21 centimeter, which is pretty cool. It's a wavelength that's out there. They were looking for unusual transmissions, but it was very limited in bandwidth. It was very limited in scale. And other than picking up a secret government transmission, the government was transmitting at some secret frequency that they picked up, and they got a little excited at first. Other than that, they didn't see anything. But that's what kicked off the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And Frank Drake had kind of thought about, well, how can we characterize, and by the way, let me show you some pictures of Frank here. How can we characterize the how many aliens are out there? How many civilizations we could contact? So that's Frank as a young man, and then this is the Frank I knew. By the way, is this working okay? Are we seeing the right Frank Drake as an older man? This was the professor I knew that I learned radio astronomy from. But he came up with the notion of being able to estimate the number of aliens out there, or at least the number of contactable civilizations. And he did it through this equation that we're looking at right here called the Drake equation. And it says the number that are contactable is equal to the rate of star formation times the fraction of stars with planets times the number of those planets, or the average number of planets in each of those that form an ecosystem. So maybe the average number of planets in each is under one, maybe it's more than one, that have an ecosystem. We'll talk about what that means. Times the fraction of those that succeed in developing life. Just because you have an ecosystem there doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get life, I guess. Anyway, the fraction that develop intelligence, and then times the fraction that develop the ability to communicate and a means that we can detect. And then lastly, you multiply it times the lifetime of that civilization. So we'll talk about what the heck that means and why lifetime is in there. That seems kind of morbid, but okay, I guess we need to worry about it, right, Dumbledore? Yeah. So anyway, first of all, well, star formation rate. So Bill, you looked into that a little bit. What is the current star formation rate in our galaxy? We've been studying that. Astronomers have been making measurements. How many stars a year are being made, roughly?
There's a kind of a band of numbers here. I went to several sources, and starting with just solar masses per year, which is what a lot of them, the term that, or the
yeah, that's good though.
Yeah, it's anywhere from 1 to 4 solar masses per year. But in terms of star output, they went from 1 to 7 stars per year in the Milky Way galaxy. So I don't know where we want to go with that.
Well, no, that's good. Those are numbers that I've heard as well. I've seen Spitzer measured using longer wavelengths that can peer further into the galaxy, looking at young stars, signatures of young stars, came up with a number of like 1.6 solar masses per year being made. Now, the reason the number of stars would be a little higher is actually the average mass of the star is actually less than the mass of the sun. The sun is a more massive star on average than, well, your average mass star out there. Or we have more mass than your average mass out there. So yeah, let's put that down. What number do you want to go with? You said it's between 1 and 5. Should we go with 2.5, 3 stars?
I'd go with 3. There's yeah, I'd go with 3 actually, because one of them specifically said 3, so it's more the median than the mean, I would say.
Yeah, and that's great though. I mean, again, just like our piano tuners here, we are getting our best guesses, and depending on whose research paper we were bringing up, whose research we were looking at, we might come up with slightly different numbers. But we're going to go with 3.
Say, if I may, it's led me to think a little bit about the changes in star formation rates over the lifetime of a galaxy. And we're talking about, how many there are forming now. But if you go back and look, roughly 4.5, 5 billion years ago, when our solar system began to form, what was the rate then? Was it somewhat higher?
Although we don't really need to worry about that too much. We only need to go back a lifetime. So it depends on what you choose for your final factor, how far back you need to worry about what you're talking about. Yeah, so you need to do an integrated star formation rate over the period of lifetime of the average lifetime of the intelligence. It would be the right way to do it. But yeah, we take that into account. Anyway, I want to talk about one of our sponsors tonight for M dwarfs. Again, you're the average star out there, or most stars in the universe, your mode, your most common star is an M dwarf, and M is for Maker's Mark. Tonight I'm drinking the 46 cast strength. It's pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of it like the others, but again, if somebody wants to sponsor us and send us whiskey, we would drink your whiskey on the air. And
I think you kind of blew that with I'm not a huge fan.
Right.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of the Maker's Mark, so if you have something of the Maker's Mark 46, I did like the private selection. I forget the name of it that I was drinking before, much better. So if you have a whiskey out there that I should be drinking, and you're you're right, the Maker's Mark 46 is trash. You really should be drinking this Highland single malt Scotch.
There you go.
Well, we will listen. We will listen. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so we've got 3 stars per year. 3 stars per year. We need to move along here. What is our next factor? We have the fraction of those stars with planets. So we're making 3 stars a year. How many of those stars are going to have a planet? Jared, you've done talks like this before, and you looked into the latest numbers from Kepler, the Kepler Space Telescope that actually found exoplanets.
And I am a solar system ambassador through JPL, and I actually have a talk that has a rundown of the entire Drake equation based on our best data that we have at the moment. And with that specific one, how many stars have planets around them? It's basically 100%. It's pretty much considered that at some point in a star's life, even post its life as well, when it's in its white dwarf phase, even potentially post supernova as well. With a neutron star, you could have a planet. There should be a planet at some point around that star, around every single star that we can extrapolate with. So
yeah, no, those are the same numbers I've heard, of course. I'm often the astronomer up at Griffith Observatory that covers Kepler and exoplanets and all of that, and I love this stuff. I really do. It was a burgeoning field of study when I was finishing graduate school. Thought about going in and doing it, but I don't know. I like studying galaxies as well. Galaxies are cool, so I was happy to do that. But I had some friends that went and did it that I won't name any names to say I'm cooler than you, like I do with Frank Drake. But someday maybe we'll have some very prominent women researchers in this field join us that are friends of mine. So if you're out there, Deborah and Natalie, I see you. You need to join us and be guests. So anyway, but at this point, so yeah, 1. So we'll go with a fraction of those stars that develop planets is 1. Now we need to know how many of those planets have the average number of those planets. Wait a minute. We have a fraction of those with planets, and then the average number of those planets that develop an ecosystem. So,
wow.
But that, that could be number bigger than 1. We like the TRAPPIST system, TRAPPIST-1. How many of those planets are in the habitable zone?
3 of them, if I remember right.
Yeah. There's several. I mean, there's one right on the edge, and it's probably not. They've done some massive studies of these. They've done simulations of the atmospheres, and it turns out that a couple of them are really particularly hopeful in terms of maybe having conditions that, if the X-ray flares earlier on in the system's life didn't fry everything, that maybe something could be there. But yeah, what's the fraction of systems that have a planet within the habitable zone? That special zone that liquid water can exist, where the temperature is just right to keep it warm enough to be melty, yet not so hot it goes into vapor and you boil off all the oceans, because all life on Earth, at least, life that we know about, needs liquid water. So we're going to assume, at least for the calculation we're doing, that we want liquid water, that's a good thing. Most scientists would agree with that. So, Sarah, what's your notion? You've looked into this stuff before. I know, Jared, you got a number, but what do you think? I put you on the spot there. You weren't expecting to talk about that. Well, you Google it and look it up. Jared, what's your number? What do you think? We'll see if it agrees with Sarah's. I'm trying not to spit out the numbers I know, because I don't want to steer this any particular direction too badly.
Yeah, so go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was going to put it just below 1. I was going to put maybe 75%, because there's no reason to not include larger moons. We know that there is a possibility, and if this equation doesn't have a specific spot for those, but we know that they do exist, we should include them in some place, and I think this is a good spot for them.
Sure, I agree.
Like under ice oceans, liquid.
Yeah, like we've got Europa.
Mm-hmm.
Got
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, there was just a study of Europa. It was a more of a simulation where they were looking into explanations of the deviation in the magnetic field. That as what it was, Cassini, when it flew by, I think, went through the plume, and they saw a deviation in the magnetic field that's consistent with going through a plume of water. Well, they went in to try and model and say, could anything else have caused this? It's a plume of water. It was the best explanation. It fits it really well. And that came out recently. So, Europa even has geysers shooting out stuff that we want to say.
Yeah, I just saw something was published today. I didn't get to see where it was, but something was published today that was basically a paper that was saying, here's even more evidence now that we have that. And I think they were using Hubble to do it in order to take that. So
yeah.
Plus, we've got to toss it on the chat from PJ818. Goldilocks, Jovian planets in the Goldilocks zone, they're terrestrial moons.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So,
Ganymede is a huge moon. It's much bigger than our moon. Ganymede would be a planet if it were out on its own. Probably would have an atmosphere if it were in the right spot. Anyway, yeah. So certainly. So I think that's a good number. Let's go with. What do you think? 75%, just to go with it. maybe we're being optimistic, maybe we're not, but let's go 75% of them, just because we need a
It's a lot
number.
more optimistic than my equation. So
Yeah, we gotta move this along a little bit here too. We're lagging a little because it's fun to talk about it, at least for us. I hope folks out there are having fun. Now we need to worry about the fraction of those that succeed in developing life, just because that has an ecosystem, meaning liquid water and sunlight and an atmosphere. Well, you need that biology to kick off. I'll take this one. On Earth, bacterial life, simple life, the very, very basic life got started almost as soon as Earth cooled down.
Yep.
We keep pushing it further and further back. They go and look and go, oh, we just found it's another, 50 million years sooner, another 3 million years sooner, another whatever. It was within the first, 600 million, 800 million years, some number in there. It might even be sooner than that, depending on what study you look at. Sarah's going to Google it for me and find me the right number.
What
But
am I
anyway,
Googling? So I was saying hi to
no,
folks.
nothing. I'm spitting out numbers for how quickly life showed up on Earth, but I know it was inside of 1 billion years that life showed up on Earth. After, so it cools down within a few 100 million. Bam, you've got life.
Yeah.
Now then, it took that single cellular life billions of years. Did I sound enough like Carl? Billions and
It's
billions.
close.
He actually didn't say that very much. It was a Johnny Carson skit that was making fun of me, that, by the way. And I do love Carl. He was a hero of mine, so we're never going to make fun of Carl Sagan. Well, maybe a little. Maybe
Never
a
say
little.
never.
Maybe a little.
Never.
Anyway, but long story short, I think I think if you have a planet and it has an ecosystem, you're going to get life. I'm going to say it's one.
I agree.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're all in agreement. So let's do it. Okay, so we've got one.
Complex.
No, that's again more optimistic than mine is. So
it's all right. We're feeling good tonight. All cooped up at home. Not being able to go anywhere. But hey, at least you can hit the parks and the trails and the things like that. Just try and stay separate. I did see some disturbing things that 6 feet is not safe depending on the environment. If you're in a restaurant and you're downwind of an air conditioner and there's somebody upwind that has the COVID, ooh, bad news. And also birthday parties, don't share the cake. Just don't share the air. Don't.
Let me just blow out the candles.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. So anyway, so now we have the developing life. We're going to say always. But what about intelligent life? Jared, you're always telling me that you're not even sure there's intelligence here on Earth.
Yeah, well, I mean, intelligence it's always just that really. I always like to talk about intelligence and what that means in terms of the Drake equation, just because how exactly do you specifically define intelligence? Like,
what did he mean? Yeah, what did he mean? Because he was specific about it, and we can joke that intelligence means you can play chess, but that's not what he meant.
I was gonna say you're kind of putting me on the spot here because I had a little bit out of that. I had it within my talk, but I don't have that up at the moment. So with my notes for that, so I can Google it really fast.
Oh, that's fine. I will answer this one. Then it's fine because
yeah, go for it.
Put Jared on the spot. But intelligence, Frank actually defined it as intelligent life means you have the ability and you have the knowledge to understand physics, to understand chemistry, to understand basic astronomy, and be able to come up with the means to develop essentially electronics. And if you do electronics, then that can lead to our next factor, which is communication. What fraction of those civilizations that become intelligent, those aliens that become intelligent, what fraction of them decide they are going to become communicable? Not communicable that way, but they're going to communicate. Again, I think that number is going to be really pretty high. If you've got the intelligence and you know how to build a big radio dish, I think you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we rapidly turned on radars. Those are actually the first things. People love to talk about, episodes of I Love Lucy going out there where she's eating the chocolate and an alien finds it. You get all sorts of great, movies and other TV shows about it. But in reality, the things that people were seeing first, the aliens out there, it was the World War II radars that were just blasting out there to try and see, the rockets, the V2s coming at us, to be able to try and get fighters to go get them and intercept them, and bombers coming at people to be able to pick them up and send fighters to intercept. So the radars were super powerful, and we continued to use those. They've gotten more sophisticated over time, but the radars on Earth are still super, super powerful and are detectable at, essentially we're looking, 70-ish light years out, 80-ish light years out. is where the radars are. I think somewhere around there. So anyway, I think you're going to communicate. I'm going to give that number a 1 as well in our calculation, which brings us finally to lifetime. And Sarah, you wanted to talk lifetime.
Yeah.
Finally get to bring up Sarah in her actual role rather than just putting you on the spot.
Let's see, where did I put that stuff? Yeah, so I found some fun equations, starting with Copernicus's musings on how long humans would exist. But the one that has gotten my attention the most was J. Richard Gott's formulation. And it's a fascinating story how he came up with this. He said he graduated college, was like, I'm going to go on a trip to Europe. This was 1969. And the Berlin Wall was up. And he was like, what if I use these Copernican formulas to figure out how long that wall is going to stand?
Oh, wow.
Right. And he said, so the way Copernicus did this is you don't assume that your experience is unique. So if you just happen to be there, you're probably not there just at the beginning. You're probably not there just at the end. You're probably somewhere in the middle 2 quarters, right? So if you do that, and if you're there in 1969, then the Berlin Wall has been up for 8 years, and then you've probably got a window of, between another 8 years to another 24 years for that wall to stand. So he said the Berlin Wall, based on these statistical, probabilities, is going to last either until 1971 to 1993. Came down in 89, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I still call that analysis hogwash.
Oh yeah, it was total luck, because if you're dude at the Great Wall of China, 20 years in, 100 years in, you're going to get that math really, really wrong, because you just happen to be in a unique situation.
Right. Well, this is where people start to worry about averages, and the average person in the civilization, assuming population of that civilization doesn't dramatically increase or decrease over the time it's there, will be dead center of the lifetime of that civilization, just based on simple statistics. And you're actually right. Being in the middle 2 quarters, you're equally likely to be within there or on one end or on the other end, actually, because a quarter on this end, quarter on that end. But if you take it instead of quarters, 20% here, 20% there, and the middle 60%, then you're right. You're going to be in the middle 60%, and
that's how you do it.
So that's how you do it, and you can get some numbers. But how does that apply to the lifetime of us being a civilization that can be picked up by radio waves, or even let's say lasers, because actually SETI's using lasers right now to try and pick up aliens as well.
So we've got 2 ways we can look at this. We can look at it either as we are going to assume that from this point on, we are going to be technologically capable of observing the rest of the universe, and we are not in a unique point, so we're just going to go for the entire length of our species, which is, if we use these equations, going to be around about 7.8 million more years, give or take.
So you think the number is 7 to 8 million?
Right. So if we are just not in a unique point in human civilization, but from here on out, we're going to be technologically capable, then we've got another 7 to 8 million years worth of exploring the universe. Cool.
All right, but what if there's subspace frequencies? What if, say, instead of using radio technology, we start communicating in subspace? Nobody's then going to be able to hear us because they're not using radio dishes. Right now, all we have is we're doing this calculation. We want to know who can we find now?
Well, we may not be able to find them, but if we look at the way if they're transmitting in subspace, we might not be able to find them. But if we look at the way we observe the past and our own history, then we don't stop looking in the more primitive forms of communication just because we've developed a new higher form, right?
Well, but
we're still looking at cave drawings.
That's true. But do we go around caves drawing on them, hoping somebody that does cave drawings will see them, though.
Right.
That's kind of the direction we're going here. So we got to move on here because we're getting close to the end of the show, and I want to wrap this up a little bit. So what number should we pick? I'm happy to put down 7 million. That seems really big, but it's
we can put down the inner
That seems really big.
version of that, so that window, if you fudge the GOT formula a little bit, then you get the more pessimistic number is about 5,000 more years for human existence.
Well, let's take the median or the average between 5,000 and 7 million and call it 3.
There we go.
You're 3.5 million. So let's do 3.5 million. Who's been taking notes on this, by the way? Anybody? I started to and I stopped.
Oh, I didn't.
I have
heard
3
you
stars.
click-
I have 3 stars per year. I got that down as a note. So we need to do this math here. So what are our
Oh,
numbers?
that's it? Oh.
That's all I took down. I told you I'm terrible at taking notes. That's what.
All right, somebody take his maker's mark.
Yeah, so it's our sponsors. So we have 3 stars times, I got to bring up my Drake equation here again, folks.
Don't you have okay, I've got the,
I'll remember when I see it here. So 3 stars times, that's 3 stars per year times the fraction of those stars with planets, which is 1, right?
Yeah.
So that's times 1, so that's 3 times the number of those that develop ecosystems. And what did we decide that was 75%?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So times 75. 0.75, so that's 2.25. And then we said the number of those that have an ecosystem there. That's that one. We did that, a fraction of those that develop life. I said it was 1, so we're at 2.25. Then we said the fraction that life becomes intelligent.
1. I think we went with 1.
I don't know.
No, I didn't think we went with 1 on that because intelligence, I don't, did we ever come up with anything? I think
Oh, no, it was intelligence and tech. So that was 1.
Yeah, technology. That's what we said.
Yeah, communicable is 1. I think intelligence might be lower because Darwin doesn't always pick for intelligence. Koalas are really, really stupid. They sacrificed intelligence to be able to digest those poisonous leaves.
Yeah. Again, how do you define intelligence?
Yeah, and humans have only been around a very short period of time, and multicellular life has been around for a very long time. So while I think life's going to show up, I think the intelligent part might be 1 in 10 or even lower.
Yeah.
Anybody argue? Let's take 1 in 10, 10%.
That's our numbers, dude.
Go for it.
By 10.
It's
I'm
just
fudging the numbers here to get us to the end of the show.
one
End of the show. So now we're at 0.225, and then we say we thought all of them are going to become communicable diseases if they're intelligent. So we have all of them learning to communicate at 2.225 times the lifetime of, what was the number we agreed on? An average between 500,
3 million?
5,000. So 3 million, 300,000
gives
gives us 675,000 civilizations just in our galaxy that we can communicate with. Now, our galaxy is, 100, 200,000 light years across if you get to the very, 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 very the outer edges of the halo or something. Anyway, it's big. So this is not that many when you scatter them out there. I mean, we're talking about trillions of stars. And, if there's under 1 million civilizations, and there are literally hundreds of billions of stars that could house these sorts of planets.
Yep.
Anyway, they might not be close. That's a number that we should have to calculate, and we have not yet done it. But still, the number's out there. And since we've got the number of piano tuners right to within 50%, this number, I'm sure we've also gotten right to within 50%. So the number of aliens, civilizations out there that are contactable is somewhere between 300,000 and 1.5 million or so, I'd say, logically. This makes complete sense. Lastly, I'm going to share, before we cut off the stream, we will share a link to come on into the Zoom room with us if you want to come in and chat with us there. We'll say hello to folks that want to join us from the YouTube chat. But before we go, I want to bring up, and of course I should have had this up and ready to go. I did before, and I don't know what I did with it. Easier to go there new. Our form to let you vote. We did create t-shirts here, and or plans to be able to make t-shirts. And on our Google Drive, and I'm going to go to our form here and open it up and show you right here. Share our screen a final time. This form will let you vote for what image you want to put on a t-shirt. You can do the Pillars of Creation, Eagle Nebula. You can do the Crab Nebula. Our guest speaker from our last episode picked this one, and Dr. Eloise Savance. And then the Sombrero Galaxy, because it's, come on, Sombrero Galaxy. And then lastly, Herbicaro 24. It's a catchy name, and it's amazing. And you'll get to vote what you want to, what swag we'll put it on, and then you can also suggest what swag.
Socks,
yes, socks.
candles.
It's candles because fire. I mean,
fire.
If we can
I can't argue against that. That's solid.
I don't know if we can find somebody to make candles with these images on it, but I will do it personally if we get enough votes.
There are ways.
Yeah,
there are ways.
Exactly. We will make this happen. So I'm going to share this link momentarily here in our YouTube chat, and I want everybody on the YouTube chat to get cracking. All right, send. That's the one we want to do here. I'm still sharing all of this. You're seeing all our secrets. Anyway, shareable link. Shorten the URL. So here comes YouTube channel, YouTube chat. I'm typing it in now. You'll see it in just seconds. Paste a Rooney. There's our form. Vote for the image you want on our swag. There's no contract here. You're not obligated to buy anything, but you kind of are obligated to buy stuff once we do this.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Anyway, we had a fun show tonight talking about the Drake equation. As always, you know, Frank Drake was doing this as a way to get a handle on, is it zero? Should we not do projects like Project Ozma and SETI? Is it worthless to go out there and listen, or is it worthwhile? If you had a number 0 when you put in these numbers that were rational, and maybe 3 million for the lifetime isn't rational. Maybe you think we're all going to nuke ourselves or die of a horrible pandemic in the next 10 or 15 years. But even still, if you put in, 500 years for a number, you get 500 of a quarter of that. There's still hundreds of civilizations out there in the galaxy that could maybe be contactable. So it's worthwhile to go looking for them. And certainly, I think it's something we need to be thinking about. Anybody else have any final comments for tonight?
Well, Alan would like to see those images printed on underwear. So
underwear. Well, we do have a place that people can put in their own comments.
Absolutely. Yeah. Make it an option.
Yeah, I think underwear is a good one. So anyway, I hope we didn't disappoint too many people with our Taka piano tuners instead of how aliens smell, but I bet they smell awful to us. After all, there's very few animals that smell, a few that smell delicious, but how many in their natural
only when
state?
Exposed to fire.
Close to fire? Then
no,
they get
only
delicious?
when exposed to fire, grilling steaks things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So we've put up our link there to do the voting. We'll also do some tweeting about that and bring it to social media. And now I'm putting the link. I know it's dangerous, but the link to join us on Zoom, if you want to come on into the Zoom call, and we'll say goodbye to everybody. So there is our Zoom meeting information, everybody. If you'd like to join us, feel free to join the Zoom and say hello to us. Thanks a lot to my Quasars tonight. I'd like to thank Sarah in particular. Great job as always doing the quick searches and keeping us online. Bill, thank you so much for your expertise on pianos and your good humor as always. It's good fun. Jared, thank you for bringing the laughs and the good humor. And as always, I'm Doc. I'm Dr. Wrightsall, David. And it's a pleasure to bring you this. We really do enjoy doing this show. And we hope to do one probably in about a month. We will be doing these shows on the second Thursday after the first Friday of the month.
Why would we do that?
I don't know why we would do that, but I hope you all are busy on the first Friday tuning into another program that's totally awesome. We had thousands of viewers, honestly, and it's super cool. I'm happy to promote All Space Considered on this show, even if we can't promote this show on that one since I drink whiskey and asked to be sent things. So anyway, we're signing off now, everybody. We're stopping the stream. So good night, and we'll go to the waiting room and get you brought in.